Good evening, everyone. I am your host, Erica. It is nice to see everyone here today. We have our resident Serbian, Mali, from the former Soviet state of Serbia. How are you doing today, Mali?
Hello, I'm good. Finally back.
Just easy going. Glad to be back. Gotcha. And then
Yes.
we have our 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 host from the state that doesn't exist, Ohio. Luna, say hello, Luna.
Hello, yes, here I come from the state where if you move here or if you even come to visit here, you're basically stuck. You cannot leave.
Ooh, can I
Sounds
come
like
over?
sounds like a bad case of Hotel California. And then
Ver-
then we
Very
have
much so.
from our Soviet state of Kanukistan, our host Dale. Say hello, Dale.
Hello, everyone. It is nice to be back. And with that, I would like to make a quick shout out to the US military. Please come and invade us and free us and liberate us from this communist hellhole.
Yes, I
The
wish
Tony
I
of
could
Oil.
have. I wish I could have, but you see, what we need, what we need is all of your maple syrup.
It would be a worthy trade.
Tell
Also,
Yes,
them that
probably.
that you can
worthy
turn maple
trade.
syrup into petrol.
Yes, we
Really?
can.
Yes. It would also be the easiest invasion ever because something like 90% of the Canadian population lives about 100 miles from the US border.
And you know what? Maple syrup, you can turn that into whiskey.
Based.
Very,
Oh, wait.
very
You
true.
could turn
Canadian
that into
whiskey.
whiskey,
Damn.
which is a story for another day. Anyways, what we have on today's docket, we are starting with um what is it? Liberty Safe. Who's been keeping up on Liberty Safe this week?
I have, and their absolutely disastrous press release that occurred a couple of days ago.
Oh, two press releases.
Oh yeah, yeah. The first was really the one that did them in. The second was not as bad, in my
The
opinion.
second the second was kind of banking on the idea that, well, maybe if we kowtow, then we won't get in too much trouble with our customer base.
Mhm.
No. No, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. So, I'm going to
So,
put this. Go ahead.
so for those who may not know what Liberty Safe is, can you just give a brief explanation of what the company is, what it does, what it sells?
Yeah, so Liberty Safe is a major manufacturer of gun safes in the US. They primarily make gun safes for the 2A community. That is their shtick, because anyone who cares about liberty in the US has guns, and, anyone that has guns should have a gun safe, but they shouldn't be mandated. Okay. Anyways, Liberty Safe came out with this horrible, absolutely horrible press release. It says, on August 30th, 2023, Liberty Safe was contacted by the FBI requesting the access code to the safe of an individual for whom they had a warrant to search their property. Stop. Stop right there. They had a warrant to search the property. They did not have a warrant to search the safe.
Do you need a separate warrant
Y-
if the safe is technically inside the property?
So most warrants will cover the property itself
Mhm.
and anything that they can easily access, which means if it has a key, lockbox, that can be easily accessed. It has drawers that just slide open, that can be easily accessed. A safe is different. A safe falls on a different level of requirement. I mean, you can still get a warrant or with pretty much all of the exact same quote unquote probable cause as you could a search warrant for a property, but you need a warrant specifically for the safe. You can add it to the warrant
explicitly say.
afterwards. So let's go ahead and continue. Our company protocol is to provide access codes to law enforcement if a warrant is granted. If a warrant grants them access to a property. After receiving the request, we received proof of the valid warrant, and only then did we provide them an access code. Liberty Safe had no knowledge of any of the details surrounding the investigation at the time. Liberty Safe is devoted to protecting the personal property and Second Amendment rights of our customers and has repeatedly denied requests for access codes without a warrant in the past. We do not give out combinations without proper legal documentation being provided by authorities. We regularly update our policies to ensure both compliance with federal and state law and reasonable consumer privacy protections within the law. First and foremost, Liberty Safe is committed to preserving our customers' rights, and we will remain unwavering in those values. What a crock of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they honestly, Liberty Safe should have taken like from the. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with the app Telegram, but should have taken from their playbook of like Telegram has been asked to like decrypt people's like messages like when they're on their like encrypted like
And they've
peer-to-peer
told the feds to
messages.
fuck off.
They've explicitly said no, even in cases of like high level like legal cases of like international like borderline counterterrorism organization like operations. They've said no. Why? Because if we were to like basically if we were to go against our just our policy of being secure and being basically to preserve everyone's data, if we do it for one person, for one country, asking, hey, we need to access this person's files, what's to prevent just your average user from fearing that their files, like their data, is at risk from basically like anyone, be it a government organization or just like advertisers with like how much power like big old companies have, from to basically going, hey, we want X person's data, give it to us. And yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck off.
Exactly.
So here's the thing. And this is the argument that I kept running into when I was talking to people about this on Twitter. A warrant does not cover an access code to a safe. Ever. A warrant doesn't cover an access code to anything. You know what does?
What?
A subpoena. You need a
Right.
subpoena. So warrants cover only physical access to persons and property. Now, you can get a warrant for documents. You can, if you're barging into the place that contains the documents. Otherwise, you need a subpoena. Subpoenas cover access to documents that you are not going to physically take possession of. So Liberty hung themselves out to dry just by saying that they would grant access to a safe if there's a warrant. No, you do not provide access with a warrant. Plain and simple. On top of this, why the absolute fuck do they have a backdoor code into the safe to begin with? The
Well,
only
from what I've heard, and I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt on this. I think this is a somewhat reasonable reason. Is that apparently they have it so if you forget your code, you can there is a way for them to reset it so you can get back
Okay.
in your safe.
Yeah,
I
like a
call-
master override in order for you to be able to almost like a password reset.
I call bullshit. I call absolute bullshit
Yeah.
because there are people that have had these safes that when they call and ask for the code so that they can get in, they won't give them the code. What they have to do is call a locksmith, have the locksmith come out, have the locksmith call Liberty Safe, and then Liberty Safe will give them the access code.
So you can't even get the master code to your own safe.
You can't get the master code to your own fucking safe. That's bullshit. It's absolute fucking bullshit. Now, I don't like the fact that there's a backdoor code to it. It's a safe. There should be one code. If there is a master code, it should be user set. Or, at least come from the manufacturer with a default master code that you can reset to your own code, and then you can add other user codes. Say you've got a wife and kids, or a husband and kids. You should know the master code, and everyone else that's going to be granted access to the safe should have their own fucking user code.
I'd even go as far as to say, like, say, give like the user that buys a like one of these safes, like a keychain with the master code like stamped into it, so that you could just say, or like some sort of laminated card, so that you could have that somewhere, like in like a secure place in your home, so that if for some reason you do forget your personal set code, you can have that. But that be like the only copy of the master code, something
Here's
that you, the owner, has possession of.
here's where I'm going. Back in the day of locks and tumblers, the only person that had access to the safe was the person that knew the combination. That's it.
Right.
There was no master fucking combination. None of that shit. You had one, and that was it. So let's go back to the days of lock and tumbler and just say fuck all of this digital age bullshit. Because it's just that. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, but at the same time, I've got to play like the devil's advocate with just old technology like that. If we improve on it, absolutely. But with various YouTube channels and places like that that I've seen, for example, like Locksmith Lawyer, some of these just where it's explicitly like where it's explicitly like a Tumblr type, can be very, very easy to essentially pick, like to the point that it's like it's wow how
Yeah,
easy it is.
well,
Like essentially, like you
it's
can just take like a bit of soda can, whoop it up in there, and oh, it's unlocked.
uh, here's the thing with a safe. It's only supposed to be so secure. Okay, the side walls, the back wall, so all the three panels, easy as fuck to cut through. They always have been.
Yep.
Unless, you're spending $1 million on a fucking safe. If someone is determined enough to get in there, they're gonna fucking get in there. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how easy or difficult you make the locking mechanism, they're gonna get in.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes,
Yeah.
where there's a will, there's a way. Now,
Well, I mean, they're all made of metal, so in theory, you could just thermite any safe and you can get in.
Eh, depends on what's in there. I wouldn't want to thermite a safe that has ammunition in it.
Fair
Ammunition,
point.
or potentially, like, if a hypothetical situation, someone is trying to steal someone's like legal documents or things like that, you would obviously not want to do that because paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, uh, they tried to save this. They really tried, and I applaud them for trying, but it's too little, too late. Um, so they came out with another uh a 3-page press release, and this is how it reads. At Liberty Safe, we are dedicated to safeguarding the rights and privacy of all of our customers. It is a promise that remains deeply personal to our employees and leadership. Our company, one of America's oldest and largest safe manufacturers, was founded on the belief that Americans should have the fundamental right to protect and safeguard their valuables and property. As a courtesy to our customers, Liberty Safe has long adhered to industry standards by maintaining a secure database of factory set combinations. This practice helps customers regain access to their safe for a wide range of reasons, including loss of the original combination, service requests, and warranty issues. Liberty Safe processes over 4,000 requests of this type annually and provides combinations to safe owners only once they provide clear documentation of their identity and their ownership of the safe. Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit. Okay. Next page. We listen to our customers and update our products and practices in response to their evolving needs. Today, we are announcing a change that empowers our customers with greater control over their information. Effective immediately, existing customers can visit this website and fill out the form to have records of their access codes expunged. In the coming weeks, we will be releasing a feature that gives every new customer this option when registering their safe. This change allows customers to take control of how their information is stored and protected. We understand that many of our customers are willing to assume the responsibility of safeguarding their own combination. While those who opt out of our data storage process will have limited resource in case of a lost combination, we respect their choice and are here to support them in any way that's best for them. We have also revised our policies around cooperation with law enforcement. Going forward, we will require a subpoena that legally compels Liberty Safe to supply access codes, but can only do so if these codes still exist in our system. Okay, so who wants to be filled in on the bullshit in all of this?
Sure.
Okay, so this is on a quote unquote secure database. It's not secure. It's not secure unless these codes are kept in physical files, in physical cabinets. If these are on computers, these are not air-gapped systems, which means they are, well, it even if they were on air-gapped systems, these this database is backed up on a regular basis, be it daily, monthly, or yearly. It's backed up, which means every code that has ever been used in one of their sold saves is backed up somewhere.
If
They
it's on a
can't
computer, it's not secure.
they can't delete it from every single backup that they've ever made. They can delete it from the current iteration, but that's it. And I guarantee that that system is not air gapped. And
I,
if anyone doesn't know what air gapping is, it's you are building a system that never touches the fucking internet.
Never touches the internet. It's basically closed. If it's connected to any other computers, it is connected only to that computer, and that computer is only connected to the other computer. It is not on the internet. It's basically a local network, a mini internet, I guess, but it is exclusively to your machine there.
It is an air-gapped LAN. Local access network only.
It like because anything that's connected to to the internet, heck, even computers are very, very easy. Like if you're a script kiddie to get into, I remember seeing this one joke where it's like all these companies are like, make your entire home a smart home connected to the internet. You're like all these like your doors, your lights, your AC. Meanwhile, it's like actual cybersecurity experts. They're like, I keep a 12 gauge just in case my thermostat makes a weird noise.
Well, here's the thing on that. I do have a smart thermostat. I do. And I don't have it air gapped, but I do have it cut off from the rest of the network and from the internet. It cannot access the internet. The internet cannot access it, but it is on my network because I don't want to pay for multiple access points just to use my fucking thermostat.
Yeah.
All right.
We do in the where I live, we do have I guess you could slightly say like a smart home type thing. So we have ADT, and that has to be connected to the internet in order to go through all of the various things that they use via like smoke detectors, alerting fire department, like blast break sensors, things like that.
So I I applaud Liberty for hold on.
Yeah, it's for those of you who are not aware, cybersecurity is kind of a joke. Right?
Yeah,
They determine
cybersecurity is a joke.
Yeah. It is
All,
so
all you
far
need
behind the actual cyber attack capabilities. Yeah, there is no reasonable hope for them to catch up at this point.
honestly, all like it's so bad. You could be like a 12-year-old, just install or like do a live boot of Kali Linux, have like a wiki open and like Stack Overflow, and you can get into practically anything that's connected to the internet.
Basically.
Well, so while I applaud Liberty Safe on trying, their efforts are a little bit too little too late at this point. If they had just said, no, we're not giving you the code until we get a subpoena, I would have been fine with that, and I wouldn't have brought any of this up. But, of course, I said very specifically, anyone familiar with tech and data redundancy knows that master codes will never truly be expunged. The system that carries these codes are not air-gapped and distanced from the networked computers. They exist somewhere in the cloud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I will say just on one point on this, I will say in their defense a bit. I'm pretty certain that the people who actually made these decisions in the first place have no idea what any of that even means. Like they
Well,
probably asked their IT guys, "Hey, is this secure?" And the IT guys are like, "Yes, okay, it's secure."
yeah, because they hire IT guys that don't know jack shit about their own systems.
Yeah. Or they hire IT guys who don't want to be honest and say no system is ever actually secure because you just say oh yeah it's secure and that like okay maybe the local idiot won't get in but it's not secure from a determined competent person.
Back when
Wait,
I
do you
was...
know what one of my yeah?
No, go ahead.
You know what one of my friends said? Like, go and try hack me and just do a bunch of shit there, and then like basically got the hacking software, which is like Kali Linux or something, and they just tried to get hired by some company as a what is it called, the job, like
Like,
Cybersecurity.
Like
cybersecurity
a network
experts.
security expert or like
Yeah,
a
that.
penetration tester.
Yeah, to get something like basically get that experience and then like pretend that you know shit and like try to fix shit, and that's how you get like a big fucking salary.
So back when I was working in cybersecurity, all those years ago, um, I was actually turned down for a job because, uh, because I was very arrogant about how one of the companies that I was trying to get hired for did or managed their security. They had
Mhm.
network technicians with absolutely zero experience in building out VLANs, absolutely no experience in, subnetting, none of that. And so the entire company was on one major uh, B class uh, private network. And it was absolute bullshit.
Network security that bad, bro? You trying to work at a hospital?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Well, my my brother and I both took a path down networking, but my brother is more on the hardware side than the actual networking side. But
Right.
when he first started working at the hospital he works at, the network was pretty much the exact same. It was a B class private network, and it was an absolute shitstorm. You had two different hospitals in the same state operating on the same private network, and everyone had a B class IP address issued to their machine. No, that's not how we do things around here. We use classless IPs on VLAN subnets. That's how we do it. Which
Yeah.
I guarantee pretty much none of our audience would ever understand. So I'm going to jump off of networking, and we are going to
What?
continue.
You mean we don't? You mean you don't want to bore the audience with all this cool like network shit? Excuse my
No,
language.
no, I mean, it bores me, and I did this work for a living.
Hmm.
Mind you, before I recently like switched my final like career goals, my overall what I was trying to get into was data analysis. So
Uh, okay,
Why
so
did you
I'm
quit this?
because working in an office fucking sucks.
Agreed.
Okay,
yeah, having worked in offices like call center types, yes, I can 100% agree.
Yeah.
it sucks the life out of your soul. Uh,
Yeah.
so let's stay on track. So we started with 2A. We're going to continue with 2A. And to start, we have Ed Krasenstein. That fuckwit.
Oh,
Uh,
oh,
let
the
me
crescent scenes.
let me pull it up. So, I don't know who's heard about this, but New Mexico has a wannabe Stalin for governor.
Is this the ban on all
Yes.
On
concealed and
carry.
open carrying in the
Yep.
city of
Yes.
Albuquerque?
Jesus
Albuquerque,
fuck.
and there's one other city in New Mexico that meets the quote unquote requirements for the ban. Um, but Ed Krasenstein, it covers the topic and says, this morning, I see a lot of people attacking New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham for comments she made in a video. Below you will see part of the video, but also additional context that is not being shared by others on social media. Yes, Grisham is suspending open and concealed carries in small portions of her state for 30 days. These are areas with high gun crime. No, we don't know if her suspension is unconstitutional or not until it's challenged and decided on by a judge, but she said she is open to a challenge. Stop, hold up.
We've already. This issue has already gone through the court system. We know it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Four words. Shall not be infringed.
Yeah. Let's take the Second Amendment out of this. Let's take prior Supreme Court decisions out of this. And let's look at the laws that were cited that give the governor this quote-unquote executive power. That's not the one. I need to make a new window for this. Give me just a second. New window capture. Window capture law. I am sorry for all of this bullshit. Oops.
No worries.
It's down here in the window. And we will do a filter. I forgot to do this before anything else.
That's the law?
Well, this is one of the laws that she is invoking, saying that this is what gives her the power to do what she's trying to do. Article 10 of the New Mexico State Statute. Give me one more second here. Okay. Close that and bring that down here. Okay, so Article 10, All Hazard Emergency Management. This is the first citation for the articles that I've read about this. And basically the way this works is it gives the governor certain powers. So the powers of the governor under Article 10, the governor shall have general direction and control of the activities of the Homeland Security and Emergency Management Department and shall be responsible for carrying out the provisions of the All Hazard Emergency Management Act. In carrying out provisions of the All Hazard Emergency Management Act, the governor is authorized to cooperate with the Fed, agree to carry out all hazard emergency management responsibilities delegated in accordance with existing federal laws and policies, and cooperate with other states with private agencies in all matters relating to the all hazard emergency management of the state and nation. So, just getting into Section B, subsection 1, you basically build an understanding that this is an actual hazard. If you go back to Section A of this, it specifically says, in the event of any man-made or natural disaster causing or threatening widespread physical or economic harm that is beyond local control and requiring the resources of the state. If this is only in 2 areas, if her executive order only affects 2 areas, does this sound like a a disaster causing or threatening widespread physical or economic harm that is beyond local control?
Nope.
Yes.
No. No. No, not at all. So her powers continue. She can issue, amend, or rescind the necessary orders, rules, and procedures to carry out the provision of all Hazard Emergency Management Act. She can provide those resources and services necessary to avoid or minimize economic or physical harm in a until a situation becomes stabilized. She can prepare a comprehensive emergency operation plan and program and integrate the state emergency operations plan and program with the emergency operations plan and programs of the Fed and other states. And she can coordinate the preparation of emergency operations plans and programs by the political subdivisions of the state. She can procure supplies and equipment, institute training programs and public information programs, and take all necessary preparatory actions, including the partial or full mobilization of state and local government forces and resources in advance of actual disaster. It's not like an army is walking on New Mexico. This order would generally be legal, technically, if an army was walking on New Mexico. Technically. But I say technically because then you get into the actual law that they have based this all on, and that's the Public Health Emergency Response. The purpose of the act is to provide the state of New Mexico with the ability to manage public health emergencies in a manner that protects civil rights and the liberties of individual persons. Now, this is what she's basing it all on. She's claiming that firearms in Albuquerque and that one other area of the state is a public health emergency. But we've defined public health emergency in this statute, and it doesn't cover it doesn't cover armies walking on New Mexico. It doesn't cover people carrying guns in New Mexico. It doesn't cover shit. What it does cover is biological infections, whether it be chemical, something that causes on a wide scale harm to multiple people on a biological level. So, the enhanced public health advisory, just going through all of this, the governor, after consultation with the Secretary of Health, may issue an enhanced public health advisory if the governor has reasonable cause to believe that a public health emergency may occur. The enhanced public health advisory shall be broadly disseminated in English, Spanish, and other appropriate languages to the impacted population. So, obviously, it has to cover a wide population. Wide population. It can't just be 2 areas of the state. It has to cover the entire state. A state of public health emergency may be declared by the governor upon the occurrence of a public health emergency. Prior to a declaration of a state of public health emergency, the governor shall consult with the Secretary of Health. The governor shall authorize the Secretary of Health, the Secretary of Public Safety, and the Director to coordinate a response to the public health emergency. Here's where it gets really interesting. Section B of 12 TAC 10A TAC 5. A state of public health emergency shall be declared in an executive order that specifies the nature of the public health emergency, the political subdivisions or geographic areas affected by the public health emergency, the conditions that caused the public health emergency, the expected duration of the public health emergency if less than 30 days, the public health officials needed to assist in the coordination of a public health emergency response, and any other provisions necessary to implement the executive order. Subsection 5, right there. The public health officials needed to assist in the coordination of a public health emergency response. If it's guns, you don't need public health officials. You need
Indeed.
law enforcement. They are not public health officials. They are not trained in public health. They are not trained in any sort of health except for their fucking own.
Debatable even that.
Yeah, if you've seen just how fat some certain police officers are, I question whether they're even trained in their own health.
They're trained in their own health, whether they actually, care about their own health, that's on them. Okay?
Fair point.
Section C of this, a declaration of a state of public health emergency shall not abrogate any disease reporting requirements set forth in the Public Health Act. A declaration of state of public health emergency shall be terminated by the governor after consultation with the Secretary of Health upon determining that there is no longer a public health emergency, or automatically after 30 days unless renewed by the governor after consultation with the Secretary of Health. This bitch is trying to just put out a blanket ban every 30 days in these two trouble areas of New Mexico. She's targeted these specific areas of New Mexico. But here's where she claims. No, that's not the correct one. That is not the correct one. Let me look through this. Okay.
Yeah, this.
So, no, that's not it.
So yeah, it seems unfortunately this is the new route that the gun grabbers seem to be going down. Is that they're now trying since let's say their success with stripping us of our rights during COVID, they've now decided that public health is how they're going to try to grab your gun.
I mean, makes
Don't
sense.
expect this will be the last one. People have been talking about this for a while now. This is only just the first example of them actually trying it. And well, let's just say I think they're gonna have a lot of trouble once it comes to the Supreme Court on this, because this is plainly illegal by the standards set out in Bruin. This is probably even illegal by the standards set out in what was the one before Bruin? Yeah, the one before Bruin, which I also am blanking on at the moment.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
in the emergency restrictions area, this is where the governor claims that she derives this power to ban carry. In Section A of 12 TAC 10 TAC 18, during the existence of a state of emergency, the governor may, by proclamation, prohibit, God damn it, I can't talk, any person being allowed on public streets, in the public parks, or at any other public place during the hours proclaimed by the governor to be a period of curfew. Any designated number of persons from assembling or gathering on the public streets, public parks, or other open areas, either public or private, or in any public building. The manufacture, transfer, use, possession, or transportation of any device or object designed to explode or produce uncontained combustion. The transportation, possession, or use of combustible, flammable, or explosive materials in a glass or uncapped container of any kind except in connection with the normal operation of motor vehicles, normal home use, or legitimate commercial use. The possession of firearms or any other deadly weapon by a person in any place other than his place of residence or business, except for peace officers. Right there. That's where she thinks she gets the power. That's where she thinks she gets the power, but she doesn't get the power because there is no health emergency in the state. There has not been a biological agent, there has not been a chemical agent that affects a wide area of the state that would cause this, unless she's going to try going for the COVID claim again, but she didn't say that. Her press release very specifically was centered around firearms, wholly about firearms. Let's pull it up. It's not
All
it.
right.
Okay. This is the press release from the governor's office. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham announced on Friday a new public health order that outlines immediate actions aimed at quickly reducing gun violence and illegal drug use in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. The recent shooting deaths of a 13-year-old on July 28th, a 5-year-old girl on August 14th, and an 11-year-old boy on September 6th, as well as 2 mass shootings this year spurred the governor to declare gun violence a public health emergency on Thursday. It's not a public health emergency, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
This is why
But
gun
as I said,
shootings happen, because people are this public, this health, fucked health wise.
I, well, I mean, probably pertains to some like deranged individuals on the streets, but not much else.
Oh, well, and here's the fun. Here's the fun. Here's the absolute fun. Let's get into the video. I've got 3 videos around this.
All right.
Ooh, it's movie time?
Yes, it is movie time. Hold on.
It's no longer movie time.
Correct.
Come on. Let's try to load this file again. Well, there's one of the videos.
All right.
Documents, podcast material.
The governor has
Try this
wrapped
again.
up a press conference addressing her decision to declare gun violence a state of emergency in our state.
Action 7 reporter John Carnelli is live with details on the executive order she signs.
Yeah, Darlene and Doug, the governor is saying today that gun violence around our state needs to stop, which is why she signed that public health order. Now, the order will be in place for the next 30 days unless it gets renewed. It asks that no person other than officers shall possess guns at public schools or parks, and that while transporting guns, they must be in a locked container or have a trigger lock. The governor also laying out how the order will affect our state's open carry law.
So effective immediately, no person other than a law enforcement officer or licensed security officer shall possess a firearm, either openly or concealed, within cities or counties, averaging 1,000 or more violent crimes per 100,000, and more than 90 firearm-related emergency department visits.
And according to those standards, Bernalillo County and Albuquerque are the only two places in our state where that part of the order will apply. Reporting live at the Roundhouse, I'm John Cardinelli.
I'm sorry, I may have misheard, but did she include like security personnel?
Yes.
They are security personnel and police or law enforcement are the only ones exempt from this
The only
order.
exception. Okay.
Okay, so that's that video. Let's get into this one. This is the one that Ed Krasenstein has on his post on Twitter.
If you're out under this order, if it stands, you notice I said if, and I think I warned everyone that we expect a challenge. Probably while you're writing this, we're getting a challenge, and that's the way it should work.
Last follow-up.
Yeah. But your point is valid.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carry license?
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time,
No, it's not if there's an emergency. If there's a state of public health emergency, and this is not a public health issue.
Yep.
Here's the full video. This is 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yes. All the examples you cited are crimes. Kids shooting at other kids, shooting from cars. So what's the value of the civil order? Why not just do better law enforcement?
both. The value of the order is that it gives me three things. One, it says it's a statewide issue and it's a message to everyone to start leveraging their resources and arresting people. Two.
Did you say something, Dale?
I did not.
Okay.
Why does she want to arrest people?
Yeah,
Well,
Because she's a communist.
she actively said that she wants people arrested. Like she
Okay.
wants to incarcerate and okay.
here's it, and this revolves around a discussion that I was having with one of my workmates yesterday, or not yesterday, but Thursday. These places are trying to create a slave labor force because they have stopped enforcing drug laws. Now they're going after guns, but they can't go after guns because, hey, guns are fucking legal. So they've got to find a workaround. Violating a public health safety order is a quick way to get fucking jammed up in the legal system.
Not only that, they're trying to prevent people from being from owning guns again because I don't know the specifics, but I'm going to assume the fact of if someone is caught carrying even concealed during this time frame, I'm going to go on a limb and say they're probably going to try to slap them with a felony, which if that means that going forward, you cannot legally own any firearm.
They did this in Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina. Yeah, there were plenty of people that were carrying during Hurricane Katrina and even afterwards while the state of emergency was still in effect, and they jammed them all up. Even people who lost their homes that were just holding on to their firearms, they got jammed up and they can never carry again. They are not allowed to own, carry, or possess ever again.
So
You know
this
why
is
they,
not just a temporary way to, we want people disarmed for, even if it's what they are wording it as just this 30 days. This is going to prevent people from being able to legally own firearms, period.
Well, not only that, but it's giving criminals carte blanche. It's giving them carte blanche. If the police weren't enforcing the gun laws to begin with, which the governor says they weren't, it's not going to change. And now the criminals have carte blanche over anyone and everyone, in those areas that are carrying for their own fucking protection. She's disarming. She's
Now
disarming
criminals,
people and
like,
making them
they
victims.
now criminals they'll see someone that they would have thought in the past, like, oh, that person's probably carrying. I don't want to like mug them. I don't want to attack them. They're
Mhm.
now like it's going to be, oh, they if they're a law-abiding citizen, they are not going to have any. They're not going to have a firearm on them. They're going to be an easy target.
Yep.
Look at this woman's buck teeth. She got 2 buck
Mm.
teeth.
Yep.
Do you know why they do this shit as well? It's only to disarm people so they can do whatever the fuck they want.
It's
It's
to
also so
disarm
they can
people.
fucking
Go
so
ahead.
they can milk the people for their money because they like
Yeah.
give them fines and shit, and they also like give them fines to pay for when they get a license and shit, and then screening and all the fucking taxes and stuff.
It's to create a slave labor force.
Yeah, they would have. She would have hated me just a bit ago. I said before the stream started, I just came back from a trip to the range. So, meanwhile, me heading like riding my motorcycle over there, inside the waistband carrying a pistol with a disassembled AR in my backpack.
No trigger locks either.
Yeah.
Yep.
The jurisdictions come
Oh,
at
you
this,
best believe
including with
that
the DOJ restrict-
that my sidearm, like inside my waistband, it had a round at the chamber. Just because if you're going to be carrying, the smart thing is to have a round at the chamber because like you're just real quick. Like if someone's going to attack you, they're not going to give you time to rack your slide.
Nope, not at all. Okay, let's keep going.
Restrictions differently without the leveraging and the additional resources, arresting, and where do they go? We got to make sure that everyone is bumping up their services. It's a message to the Metropolitan Detention Center. It's a message to the HMOs. You better figure out treatment. We have been sort of stalled out, to your point. This order basically says stop stalling out, and to your point, just arrest everyone. Well, I also have to have the ability, I can't arrest everyone. There are literally too many people to arrest.
Well,
This
you
would
can't
allow
arrest
us,
anyone with a
huh?
civil- If someone's got a concealed carry permit in Albuquerque walking down a public street, they're not going to get arrested.
I can make the point that maybe they should be. And
There it is. There it is. Maybe they should be. Maybe a person who has a concealed carry license should be arrested. Are you fucking kidding me?
She just said it. She just said out loud. She just said the quiet part out loud there. This is what they all believe.
They don't want you
New
armed.
Mexico, this is one of the things that I like about here in the state that doesn't exist. New Mexico institute a constitutional carry law, like with the concealed carry permits and all like that. While I'll admit they are kind of convenient for like just buying guns and things like that, if in a constitutional carry state, it is impossible for anyone to know if you're armed, which, I mean, on one hand, people can argue, oh, that means that even police, like when they come up to you, they might not know that you're armed. Okay, but
Yeah.
then also anyone else that might try to attack you, or like corrupt cops,
So
not saying to do anything.
So
New-
cops.
Go ahead.
Oh no,
Oh.
I was just saying when she said corrupt cops, I just said so cops.
Oh, yes. So cops. Yes, they're fucking corrupt. So New Mexico's law on carry is almost the same as Iowa's was a few years ago. It's a shall issue state. So if you apply for it, you pass a background check, they must issue you a concealed carry permit. On top of that, the way that their law is slightly different from how Iowa's was. You can open carry without a permit, and you can open carry with one in the chamber. But if
Are there
you're
any
going to,
states that say you can't carry with a round in the chamber?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
So
Oh.
a few of the shall issue states, if you are allowed to open carry without permit, um, you cannot have a round in the chamber, and that was one that Iowa had on its books before we moved to constitutional carry. So most of the states that are still shall issue, that aren't pseudo may issue, but are still shall issue, uh, those most of those states still have law on the books saying that you can't have a round chambered if you're open carrying.
That's a ridiculous sounding law.
But
It's like, sure, you can have a gun on you, but when it comes to actually defending yourself, we're gonna put you at a disadvantage. We want to make it fair. We want to make it sportsmanlike.
yeah,
And also,
but
when you think about, like, if you can't have a round in the chamber, then in theory you can't even use the gun, because in order to shoot, if you were to shoot someone with it, even if you did not previously chamber a round, you'd still have to chamber the round to shoot them.
yeah, but
Now you're thinking like a lawyer.
the
Yes.
way the laws were in most of these shall issue states were, if you do come under attack and you are open carrying, you can rack one into the chamber and defend
Oh.
yourself. But
Alright, fair enough.
most of those states were also not stand your ground. You had to retreat.
Not
Hmm.
stand your ground states, and then the combination of that with the you're not allowed having one in the chamber, but you're allowed to rack it if like there's literally out of no other option. Like they already have the gun pressed to your head, and they're squeezing the trigger as it happens. Like circle back to my joke earlier of like with me riding with around in the chamber, anybody who is going to actively attack you or try to do you harm, they're not going to give you time to rack the slide. If they see you draw, they're going to start squeezing the trigger on you. And oh, okay, so
Mhm.
now even if you're able to like get it up a bit faster than they are, congratulations. Now you have to spend another like couple seconds in order to act like ready yourself while they're already going to attack you, so they're clearly not like concerned about any sort of law. So, what's to stop them from not having a round already in the chamber, just ready to like preemptively get you?
Exactly.
So
Mhm.
I like how you guys are talking about this, like these scenarios and things. But if you only knew what the fuck is happening in Serbia with the gun laws, you'd be pulling your hair out. Because
We've
Nova told me today, and basically, if you're in a situation where someone's pointing a gun at you and you're like an armed security guard, you can't shoot the other person. And you cannot shoot the other person even if he's executing hostages.
Mm.
Because if you want to shoot someone, you need the other person to shoot at you first, and only then can you shoot back. But you can only fire as many rounds as the other person shot.
That's some fucking
What the
bullshit.
fuck?
Wait, you can only
Yes.
fire as many rounds as the other person shot. So if
Yes.
they say like running at you, fire one round at you so far, you even if, for example, they're clearly intent to shoot you, you were
Yeah.
only at that point allowed to shoot one round back.
Yes. Or else
That
you're
is,
like you're
That is
breaking the law if you
asinine.
don't follow that. Yeah.
yeah.
And even
And
if the person's like pointing a gun at your head, you can't. It's not considered like a attack on your wife. Only when like literally attacks you.
so you have to wait until they've actively squeezed the trigger,
Yes.
sending around supersonic speed into your head.
Yes.
Yep.
It has to be at you. It doesn't count if it's someone else. They can shoot someone, doesn't count. You can't do anything.
some asinine bullshit.
Agreed.
What?
Yeah. And
I fucking hate it here because it is this dumb shit like this, and then the gun buyback program because of the kid who shot up a school.
which we discussed earlier this year.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you hand in your gun, it's not gonna dissuade the criminals to hand in their guns. You're just being
Nope.
retarded at that point.
No,
Yep.
I'll admit I kind of love the videos where people are like, so they're like waiting in the lines of like these gun buybacks where it's these gun buybacks are like we'll buy your rifle for $100, pistol for $200, and like they in the line of cars have like a sign of like we'll pay cash $150 for a rifle, 250 for a pistol, and like these people like in line are just like, I mean, hey, this is more money that I'm gonna get from this buyback here.
All right, let's continue.
This is the point. I'm willing to do anything and everything within a shred of evidence-based effort. Because if you're not horrified that on any street corner in too many cities in New Mexico, there is someone with a gun sticking out of their waist or their belt. And I'll tell you, if you're a young person, you're not allowed to have a handgun.
Well, it's a crime already.
I got it, but we won't be able to arrest all of them. So imagine, just in a perfect world, if this was upheld, it gives all of these police officers the ability to focus on the real criminals.
And the real criminals are now the people that were previously law-abiding
Americans?
citizens.
Yep.
Last follow-up.
Yeah.
You took
But your
Also,
point
with
is
her,
valid.
like, no young person is going to have like a gun on them or something along the lines of that. Like, really? I'm 27 years old. I'm literally like 96. That's the year where people can't seem to decide whether we're a millennial or a Gen Z, and
Mhm.
I carry and like, oh,
Yeah.
like imagine a world where, like, on a corner where someone has a gun sticking out of their waistband. Meanwhile, me, I've gone to my local Dollar General and someone's open carried through there, and my brain, like my thought, instead of oh my gosh, a gun, it's just, oh, cool, that looks like a Glock.
Yeah, and not to beat a dead horse or anything, but people thinking young people aren't carrying. We did just last year go through a very infamous trial, a very based young 17-year-old who was carrying,
It was also
Which-
underage.
who
I
successfully
believe,
disarmed the communists.
are you referring to Mr. Kenosha?
Yes,
yeah.
Mr. Kenosha, which he's been in the news again lately.
I have
Right.
mixed feelings about him. I mean, on the one hand, I 100% believe that like he acted in self-defense, 100%.
Yes.
There's no denying that. But then, I mean, his personal opinions and things like that on Twitter, that's something else. I mean, but that doesn't deny the fact that it was a self-defense shooting, and like you even see the
Yes.
videos where someone had like a gun in their hand, like aiming it at him. So
And I was actually having this discussion the other day. So he's being sued by the family of one of the pedos that he ended, and they're saying what is it, not unlawful death, but unjustified death. I don't remember what the claim is.
justified. Was it the one that was beating him over the head with a skateboard?
No,
No,
it was the
first
one.
guy, the guy who was
Oh.
chasing him down that alley and threw a bag at him and grabbed for his gun.
Right after someone had shot off a handgun right behind him.
Yep.
but they're suing him for the death of their quote unquote loved one, and they're still perpetuating this bullshit. Oh, he took a gun across state lines. Well, guess what? I do too. Every fucking day. Every day. Arrest me. Do
Yeah,
it.
taking a gun across state lines is not illegal in the slightest. You don't have to do any paperwork. That being said, if you want to follow the laws, if it's an NFA item, you do have to file paperwork. But
Yeah.
any gun, like for example, him, it was literally it was shown, it was again that he was the legal possessor of that firearm, and traveling across state lines didn't require any sort of paperwork, any sort of notification, blah blah blah, things like that. So him traveling from one state to another with that firearm was 100% legal. And I love the
He
whole, oh, he's just there, when the fact that like it's been shown that like he was there because he has family in the area that owns businesses. His family's friends are business owners in the area. He basically, his family was from that area.
So
Yeah.
he did not transport it across state lines, but he also was not the purchaser of the rifle. It was a straw purchase. His friend had purchased it on his behalf with his money.
Okay,
How
so
yeah,
that might get into gray
but
areas, but I believe this has already been
they
covered.
never
And
they never charged his friend with a straw purchase. They never charged him with a straw purchase or buying a firearm illegally. They charged him with murder, which he didn't commit. And it was up to the prosecution to bring all of the charges that they believe would stick, and I don't know how you wouldn't think that a straw purchase would
yeah,
stick, but
that out
we're
of literally everything from that situation, that would have probably been like the one charge that would have actually stuck.
yeah. So I mean the trial is over. He didn't transport it across state lines. He didn't go there wanting to kill anyone. He was a 17-year-old kid that made some bad fucking decisions, deciding to stay in Kenosha that night carrying a rifle. Now, did he put himself in a bad position? Yes. That doesn't negate the fact that he was legally allowed to kill the people that were attacking him.
He defended his own life. That's basically what that was.
Yes, it was.
And in respect to one Mr. Rosenbaum, he probably saved several children some very horrible experiences down the line.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. But a lot of us
The
believe that
funnier thing
Rosenbaum.
being with like as we've seen from the various trials and whatnot, if uh he had merely like injured those people, he probably would have like it would have been harder for him. And like from personal experience with like friends who uh have gone through the justice system after dealing with people like that, and having I'm basically I'm trying not to say words that YouTube won't like, and getting them things like that, and having been told by a warden of said uh, institution that they were in, you basically get like it's less against you. Like it's viewed as, I'm trying to think of the words also. Basically like l- almost like less harmful, or like uh less likely to be prosecuted or like get as harsh of a sentence if you completely if you unalive them.
Yes.
Right.
The the
Trying to
the
say it
big
in a way that YouTube won't be too mad at.
the big thing with Rosenbaum is he had a death wish. In several of the recordings from that night, he was captured saying, "I want you to shoot me."
Yeah.
Anyways, back to New Mexico. We got a minute and 45 seconds left in this.
Yeah. But your point is valid.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carry
Listen to this shit.
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute. There are restrictions on freedom.
Your oath
I'm
is intended.
sorry.
Your oath is intended to be absolute, Madam Governor.
Oh my gosh.
My oath did not end when I finished out my contract in the Marine Corps. My oath is a lifelong oath. I will protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, until the absolute last breath that I ever fucking take.
I was literally about to like seriously but also half jokingly say like did your end like at the signing of your DD-214?
Nope.
No.
No. I did not relinquish my oath. I had an oath of office, and even though I'm no longer in that appointment at this point, I will continue to carry out the oath because the oath isn't a government oath. It's a promise to the people that I served. And even though I think the Marine Corps and the US military at this point are a bunch of absolute fucking bullshit, I stand up and I continue to say my oath was truly what I believe in, and I will continue to carry that out until the day I die.
But and also like hasn't it been like in courts stated like for at this point hundreds of years that the United States Constitution is not the thing that gives the right. It is merely something
Yes.
that states the government will not infringe on God-given right.
Yes, the God-given rights are in the Declaration of Independence. These are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, aka the accumulation of property. And I know I've talked about this ad nauseum when it comes to John Locke, but the Declaration of Independence was heavily written by Thomas Jefferson using rhetoric from John Locke. And John Locke's famous words were the pursuit of life, or the rights declared by him were life, liberty, and the accumulation of property. The only reason why it became the pursuit of happiness when Thomas Jefferson wrote it was because it sounded better. But the Bill of Rights are also based upon the idea that there are certain things that are covered by life, liberty, and the pursuit of or the accumulation of property. One of those is self-defense. You have the right to life, which means you have the right to protect that life, be it from a tyrannical government or from a fellow citizen.
I will joke real quick. My roommate stopped by and kind of joked with me. They're like, how can you have God given rights and also the separation of church and state?
Well, and
but understandably, the fact that it's more natural rights.
Well, and Thomas Jefferson wanted to try to separate those two things, the church and state. When he wrote the Declaration of Independence, he didn't like it, but the country at that point was very heavily Protestant, or
yeah,
they were very heavily Christian. Pretty much everyone believed in a deity, and so more rhetoric using God-given. That's what was used. But in several of Thomas Jefferson's writings, he very clearly says these aren't even just God-given. These are natural human rights that you have simply by virtue of being human, by virtue of existing in this world. And several philosophers down the line over the past 250 years have very clearly stated that by virtue of living in this universe, by virtue of existing, period, you have the right to live. And even I've taken this stance. The universe is trying to kill us 24/7. We have the right to protect our lives from anything and everything in the universe, whether that be another citizen trying to kill us or the vacuum of fucking space. Different
It's
methods.
even shown in the fact that like life, even on like a basic sense, will want to keep living no matter what is against it. Like even
Yeah.
if it's other organisms, like other life.
Well,
Like
even single cell organisms like amoebas, they will evolve. Viruses will evolve to combat a medicine that we've developed to kill it.
that can be shown as far back as just penicillin. Like
Yep, antibiotics.
just the fact of like all like no matter how much like will try to continue living. So therefore like all like the right to life is like ingrained in life itself.
Someone will get a bacterial infection like strep, and we will give them antibiotics, and we'll kill off the strep in that person, but it will have already been transmitted to someone else and evolved to no longer be susceptible to the antibiotic that we've given the other person, and so we need to use other antibiotic. It's an ever constant state of flux where we're trying to kill it, it's trying to kill us, and we're both just trying to fucking survive. It may not be visible the same way as one person killing another person just to protect their own lives because the other person was trying to kill you first. Still the same thing.
It's kind of like I remember seeing this one joke where it's like if I ever get mauled or eaten to death by an animal, like don't be mad at that animal. Honestly, it was just me like being in the wrong like I probably did something bad. Like I just messed up.
I made it feel
Like
like it needed
in
to
this
defend itself, and
either
that's
defend
my
itself
fuck up.
or I put myself in a place where it was actively trying to continue living via obviously eating, and I just happened to place myself there.
Okay, so we've got a minute and 15 seconds left.
Free speech, there are restrictions on my freedoms. In this emergency, this 11-year-old and all these parents who have lost all these children, they deserve my attention to have the debate about whether or not in an emergency we can create a safer environment. Because
Who's been paying attention to the police chief?
Yeah, he does not look happy.
He's been rolling his eyes for this entire thing because he came out after this press conference and said, I will not be enforcing that. And so have the sheriffs of the two counties that this covers. They've both said, we are not enforcing this.
Very uncommon police W.
Base. It kind of like oh my gosh, I don't know how many of you remember, including the audience. like the various sheriff's departments and local PDs in Illinois after the ban on where they were like, oh, the assault weapons ban, where it included so many things, where they were like, in order to prevent mass shootings, or like in order to prevent like school shootings, we are going to ban said weapons, and it included things like 50 cal like weapons. It included like revolving shotguns and just
Yeah.
Who the
such
fuck
an
uses
extensive
revolving
list.
shotguns?
Yeah, literally, it was like one of those things that I remember reading it, where it was like revolving shotguns, where
It's like
the
a
like the
really
tourist
like old model.
judge would be considered by the Illinois assault weapons ban. It would, by that standard, it would be the tourist judge would be considered an assault weapon.
So,
How?
so what you're referencing is the Protect Illinois Communities Act, PICA, and it was bullshit, and it's been thrown
It's been
around
shot
in.
down, or
No, it was shut down for a very short period of time, but it's been going back and forth in the Second Circuit for quite a while now, and I'm just waiting for something to get to the Supreme Court, because I
Is
think that the Second Circuit has an en banc hearing set for a uh, for I believe these cases in Illinois were all merged.
it was literally including things like if it's a pistol, but the magazine doesn't feed through through like the grip, then it is considered an assault weapon.
is the Second Circuit one of the bad circuits, like the Ninth Circuit, or is it a better circuit?
It's uh, if you're thinking Second Circuit, just think Illinois, and then just think California.
Fair,
It's
fair enough.
bullshit. Now California is in the Ninth Circuit, but it's the same
Yeah.
thing, because most of the judges in the Second Circuit are coming from Illinois. Most of them are coming from Chicago.
Terrible.
What about their constitutional rights? I took an oath to uphold those too. And if we ignore this growing problem without being bold, I've said to every other New Mexican, your rights are subrogated to theirs. And they are not, in my view.
Wait a minute, you're talking about crimes. There are already laws against the crimes, so how are their rights?
I got it, but again, if I'm unsafe, who's standing up for that right? If this climate is so out of control, somebody should do something. I'm doing as much as I know to do.
Madam Governor,
Yep.
do you really think that criminals are going to hear this message and not carry a gun in Albuquerque on the streets for 30 days?
No.
There it is. She's not going after the criminals. She's trying to create new criminals. Like we've all been saying this entire time, trying to get through this video. She's saying the quiet part out loud.
Yep.
She doesn't expect the criminals to abide by her orders. She expects the law-abiding to abide by her orders. But in reality, she knows they're not gonna, and she's hoping that she can catch quite a few of them. But Police Chief Medina is saying, fuck you.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
Why? What is her goal? Why does she want to do this? I don't
She
understand
wants
that
to
part.
create a slave labor force. She can no longer do it the same way that we've been doing it since the 80s. The war on drugs was to create a slave labor force. The
When you say
Wasn't it?
when you
I'm
say
trying to think.
oh,
Sorry.
oh, that's okay. I was just gonna say, when you say a slave labor force, do you mean like the prisons when they have
Yes.
like the inmates produce stuff? Oh,
Yeah.
Slavery is still legal in the US. You just have to have committed a crime and be jailed for it.
Don't some prisons like pay you for the job that you're working in a prison?
They pay you
You have
like
some money when you leave.
they pay you like several cents an hour.
Yeah,
Several,
they
it's
Like Serbia.
literally
here's
pennies.
here's how the prison system works. You get convicted of a crime, you go to jail. Now, you have to pay for your room and board. It is required by state law across the entire country that you pay for your board and your food. On top of that, what they'll do is they'll give you cents on the dollar that a normal person would get paid for the job that you're doing while you're incarcerated. That money goes directly to your food and board. It doesn't cover anywhere near as much as what you are required to pay for your food and board. So what happens is you finish out your sentence, you're on probation, and now you're out of jail, but you owe money to the state because they charged you more in room and board, or in food and board, than you were getting paid to do the work that they forced you to do.
So retarded. What the fuck?
What happens if you're in prison and you just refuse to do the work? I mean, they can't kick you out of prison.
No, they can't
No,
kick you out of prison, but
it will
you
get
owe
worse.
more.
You'll get more time. They'll do things like they'll put you in the shoe, and it just gets very, very bad.
Some places they won't actually do that, but if you don't work, if you don't do exactly what they say, like do a job that they're forcing you to do, they'll just leave you in your cell, and now when you get out you owe them more money than you would have if you had worked. It's a way to create profits. It's a way to write off debt and balance the state books.
I mean, also at the same time, oh my gosh, what was his name? The president that kind of initiated the war on drugs.
Reagan.
Nixon.
No, not Nixon.
No.
It was Reagan.
It's not Reagan.
Reagan, yeah. Or like audio files have came out where it was like
I'm pretty sure the war on drugs was the Nixon thing.
Yeah,
I know Reagan.
not
He
Nixon.
made it. He elevated it as a bigger problem, or as a
Absolutely,
bigger. But
it was
I
Reagan
believe,
that was
Nixon.
kind of like
He wanted to
going on-
arrest all the hippies.
Yeah, where he was like, you don't arrest. It was like you don't arrest the hippies. You can't just do that. You have to like. It was basically like you have to make.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Dale.
Anyone there?
Yeah, I hear you, Dale. Can you hear
We
us?
can all hear you, Dale.
Dale?
I think Dale is yeah. Dale, are you there now?
Dale, can you hear us?
The FBI is getting him. Yeah, if you're okay, say something.
The Secret Service, because I started I started talking about Reagan.
Okay, so here's the timeline on that. Woodrow Wilson started with not social security. He started with social programs, food stamps, that sort of shit. Alongside the same time that the Civil Rights Act was enacted. The war on drugs was a long time running. So
It basically started as soon as prohibition of alcohol ended.
yeah, but the big move was the start right after the Civil Rights Act. It encouraged
I'll be right back. Sorry.
It encouraged young women in these urban centers to no longer need their male counterparts that are creating children. So government programs like WIC, food stamps. Hey, you don't need your husband. You don't need a male life partner. You need the government. And as this went along through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we encouraged people, you don't really need a mate. You don't need someone looking after you. And so we promoted this fatherless society in urban centers. And come the 1980s, where they introduce crack cocaine into urban centers, the FBI loved doing this. What would happen is, hey, no father? Great. Get into the gang wars. Now there's a war on drugs, and we have an enemy that we get to fight. It's the gangs. The gangs are doing it all. The gangs are selling the drugs. The gangs are killing the people. And now you have an enemy, and we're just creating prisoners. And we're perpetuating this system of fatherless homes, getting caught up in gangs, selling drugs. It's just, it's an endless cycle of perpetuating the same shit over and over. And then we did something wonderful. We decriminalized marijuana. And then the government's like, "Oh fuck, what are we going to do now? We don't really have the gangs anymore. They're not really pushing drugs." And then meth jumped up on the streets, became a big thing. And then they're like, "Yay, we've got something to fight against it again." And now
I'm back.
meth okay, and now meth isn't as big of a deal as it used to be, and now it's guns. It's all guns. It's everyone that owns and carries. It's not just the criminals, it's everyone. They're doing everything they can to create this fucking slave labor force so that they can get cheap labor, they can get money, they can balance the books. Everything revolves around the prison system.
And the thing about it, even then, is it's like it's not even them trying to actively like solve the problem, because they're making money off of it. Because,
No, they're
well, as you were saying, like for example, right now, meth isn't as big, like as much of a problem as it used to be. It's
mhm.
still heavily a problem. Trust me, coming from someone who yesterday, literally yesterday, made 2 years clean off of meth. Like
And many
it,
applause to
like,
you. Many applause.
but like it is, things like that are still so heavily like an active in like similar what we were talking about with New Mexico's governor, with her talking about, oh, a crisis or like an emergency, and with it having to be a health emergency. Substance abuse, with how wide it is a genuine like health emergency, with like how just how bad it is.
I I
I'm one of
I
those where it's like, yes, due to like how like with how it was basically pushed by the government onto people with like crack and heroin back in the day, to now essentially like doing jack all to stop meth, and then now fentanyl from flooding the streets. Like, don't get me wrong, it is it
I
can be bad, but
I would
like
I would
nothing
generally
is truly done about it. Like nothing is actively done in order to try to like prevent people from even like test, like, oh, you know what, why don't I try, it can't be that bad. Like
I
nothing is actively done.
I would generally not categorize that as a public health emergency, simply because this isn't something that's going into people's system against their will. They're ingesting this willingly, knowingly, knowing that uh, even somewhere in the back of their mind that, hey, I could OD on this. I could die by doing this, and they do it anyways. And I'm not saying that I have anything against them. In fact, I think all drugs should be decriminalized. I think all drugs should be legal. What we should do, however, is do what we did in the 70s with alcohol. Do what we did in the 90s with tobacco. Have educational campaigns. Teach people what it looks like when you're being irresponsible with these substances. Teach people how to be responsible and use things in moderation. Anything can kill you. Water can kill you. Anything.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these people, or I'm not someone that's like, oh, it was totally against my. It it was while what at the time I called a friend basically like introduced it to me at the time, it was 100% my decision to use.
Yeah.
So
And
that's something where it's like it was I actively chose to do something. Like I can agree with you there.
and
Yeah,
me
well,
me and me and Dale have gone over the cycle of addiction and how to break it and how to build healthy habits. We did some of that with our podcast on his finances, but I am painfully aware of what happens once the addiction has been built, and I know it's not so much a I'm doing this because I want to. It's I'm doing this because in my head it's saying I need this.
Yeah, I am definitely on the aspect of starting it is a choice. I chose to, for example, but there comes a point where it even it might it it's hard to word because,
It's being
for
forced
example,
by your own body.
I
yeah,
was very much like, for example, methamphetamine is not a physically addictive drug, but I was very much the type of person of where I would say, "Oh, I'm just going to use until the end of this bag. It would be a waste of money otherwise. I'm just going to do to here. I'm just going to finish this up. I promise myself I'll stop after this. I'll stop after, or I'll just use this much." But
Hey
one
Dale,
that always turns
Yeah.
into another bag, which
what
turns into another bag, which might turn into I don't have like a bit of time where I'm not using, but in reality, looking back, it was because I didn't have money.
Dale,
Like
what did I
so
what did I tell you to do the night that we had our podcast about your finances?
Many things. I'm assuming the thing you were referring to was to dump all the um alcohol I carried in my apartment.
what the
Yes.
fuck?
And did you do it?
Unfortunately, yes. I
what
joke about the
What?
unfortunately part, but yeah, I did.
yeah, it like I say how yesterday makes 2 years clean. So the last time that I used was September 8th, 2021, where I had to contact a friend of mine to say I can't do this. I need help. And they helped me to dump what I had because I knew if I had not, it I would have used the rest of that bag. I would have gone on to getting another one, and it would have just continued. I had
Well,
to have
and
just like even though uh I had some left, and my brain was telling me, "Oh, like all the amount that you have left, all the money that you spent on this, it was basically like I had to, or it wouldn't have happened for me."
well,
Right.
and that's the thing. I absolutely get that it is a difficult thing to do, especially in the face of, wasting money. Um, Dale was there. He even put up that fight on the stream, saying, "Well, isn't that a waste of money?" Yeah, it is, but in the long run, it's going to be better for you. Um,
Yeah.
now,
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead, Molly.
What do you mean dump your alcohol, and why did Dale do that?
Well,
Because
thankfully, I didn't have any nice whiskey at the time, so I'm not that sad because I didn't have to
because
dump a nice $100 bottle of scotch.
if you had paid attention to the server about 3 weeks ago, you would have noticed that Dale had said something very uh self-deprecating, and he tried to pass it off as uh being comical, but it wasn't. It was more of a woe is me. I don't like myself sort of statement, saying I'm an asshole, even though all of us were encouraging him and telling him that we care about him and he's not an asshole, because you're not an
Well, no,
asshole, Dale.
I am an asshole, but I'm a funny asshole, so it's good. So I get a pass.
So it's
Uh,
okay.
but I
Yeah.
came to Dale that Friday morning after that message on the server, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And Dale admitted to me that he's been having some problems with alcohol and spending inordinate amounts of money on alcohol. So what I did to fix that issue for him, or at least help him fix that issue for himself, was we went over his finances. And how much money did I tell you, Dale, you were spending yearly on alcohol?
I think you said $14,000.
$14,000, Jesus.
It
fuck.
was nearly $14,000. Let
What
me
is-
let me look back in
That
this.
per year.
Yes, per year.
Still,
Jesus,
$14,000.
That's like a lot of fucking
$14.5
cars.
thousand per year in alcohol. And to put it in more context, I had told him about putting that money into a Roth 401k, which will earn
that?
about 10. A Roth 401k is a savings account for the future. It's a retirement account, and it goes off of the stock market, and it gains about 10% in interest yearly. And if he invested that same money every month from the day we had talked about it until the day he turned 65, he would have between $2.8 million and $7.9 million in his Roth 401k.
It's pretty good, but I suggest like investing into a business that you can automate and stuff and expand it.
Well, that's
That's also
if you
pretty
have the money to invest in a business in capital. You're going to need at least $1 million to invest in a business to begin with.
Or you can just do some loans, but that's kind of risky. But yeah,
No, that's way too risky at this point.
that's how people do it here.
Yeah, and
Yes, but that's
it's still
Serbia.
way too risky.
Yeah. The people of Serbia aren't exactly known for not taking stupid risks.
But
Fired.
but we went over Dale's finances, and I saw how much he was eating out and how much of a discrepancy there was between what he thought he brought in per month and what he was actually bringing in per month. Suffice it to say, he's no longer eating out, he's eating at home. He's making food at home, which reminds me I need to write down the roll recipe for you, Dale.
Dale, I need to tell you how to make a killer fucking soup. I perfected my soups.
What sort of
And-
soup is it? Is it a cream soup?
No, it's like a regular soup. Use the
Is it at least a thick soup?
thick? No.
Yeah.
If
Generally speaking, I tend to go for cream soups or at least
If-
thick soups.
if you want a cream soup like Zuppa Toscana that they make at Olive Garden, get with Coda. Coda makes Zuppa Toscana.
All right, I will definitely poke her about
Because we're on the topic of soup. I had this really the deli that I work at makes really good soup, so I've been having that lately.
Ooh. Also, I need to say this. When Dale was here with me, he would spend. It's a lot of money, but here it's cheap. But he would buy so much fucking booze. He drank a bottle of wine per day.
No, I think it was 2 bottles of wine per day. A bottle of wine's
That's
not
even
that
worse.
much.
That's even worse.
It was good wine, and unless
It
I go
is.
back to Serbia, I'm probably never gonna have that specific type of wine again.
I mean, it was okay at
Speaking
first,
Because
but
it's
at the
speaking
Serbian
of food,
specific.
I
Yeah.
I I sent
Yeah.
Dale. I sent you that. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I sent Dale that recipe for my personal pan pizza.
Mhm.
Have you tried that pizza yet, Dale?
Not yet, as I haven't yet been able to acquire any baker's yeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do
we've
you
we've kind
do
of
do you
been
have
putting
bread?
off the shopping for a while because it's been super hot these last few days.
Mm-hmm.
So waiting for it to cool
Canada?
down.
Do you have
Oh yeah,
flour?
Montreal summers are awful in here.
Dale,
It's
do you
like
have
35.
flour?
Sorry.
Do you have flour?
Yes.
Start a sourdough starter.
All right.
You
So
will gain so much appreciation for sourdough pizza.
I've never had sourdough pizza
Now
before. That could be interesting.
the prep for a pizza with sourdough is
Mhm.
longer than using baker's yeast, but you don't have to have baker's yeast to leaven dough.
Interesting.
Culturing your own yeast with sourdough is an amazing thing to do. And all you need to do it is flour and water.
All right, I'm gonna have to try that.
If you want some tips on a sourdough starter, I'm here. I have restarted my sourdough starter because there are several things that I want to make. But my first and my biggest tip is your sourdough starter should be the same hydration level as most of the things that you're going to make with it. So if you're gonna make a 100% hydration loaf of sourdough bread, your starter should be 100% hydration. I would recommend against that because it's a little bit too sticky. But I generally go with around the 58 to 65% hydration levels. And that gets me plenty of bounce, plenty of leaven, and you're not going to get the huge air pockets like you would on a traditional sourdough loaf, but you don't need it. You're going for the taste. You're not going for the look.
The presentation. Yeah. Oh, and just for the record of the stuff that's been going on in the chat, no, I refuse to check the temperature in Fahrenheit. All right, Celsius is the superior way of measuring temperature.
Based. Absolutely based.
It's one of the very, very few select things that Canada does better than the U.S.
No,
Take your French superiority elsewhere.
No, I will say, as far as a lot of things, like, I'll say metric is pretty good, but when it comes to temperature, I will absolutely choose Fahrenheit because of the fact that Fahrenheit will be able to get you a much more accurate temperature due to the fact that if you think about it, no, hear me out. If you think about it, between, for example, just the freezing of water and the boiling of water, with Celsius, that is 0 to 100, whereas with Fahrenheit, it is 32 degrees Celsius to, I believe it's 212 degrees, so almost twice as much. So you have like almost twice the amount of increments when it comes to accurately like depicting the temperature of something.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can just go down to the decimals, right? Like you could have
as well with Fahrenheit.
100.
Shove your decimals up your ass.
Do I hear a based?
The only thing I use the imperial system for is measuring height, but only height of people.
Yeah,
Right?
relatable.
Everything else is metric. But right, but when I talk about height, I always say I'm 6'4", not 193 centimeters.
Well, here's the wonderful thing about the dough recipes that I send you. Pretty much all in grams.
Excellent.
And you've got a kitchen scale, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Perfect. One last thing about sourdough before we get off the air. Whether it's a low hydration dough or not, the dough will be somewhat sticky because you are creating you're creating acids within the dough using a natural bacteria that produces lactic acid. So it will be sticky because it's breaking down a lot of the gluten bonds that you create initially when you make the dough. But there are several videos on YouTube on how to work with sticky doughs, and I will teach you. I will make videos for you specifically because a lot of the shit that I saw on YouTube never fucking helped me.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
So
also for the record, Z was indicating that she wanted some people to check the stream chat. She had a question.
Yeah.
One that's probably best addressed off air.
Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, we will address that off the air. At this point, we have eaten up our 2 hours and we didn't get to the third topic, which is fine. I will save that for next time.
We didn't even finish the video. Oh my gosh.
No, we finished the video.
So basically,
we did.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
we finished the video.
Something that we very rarely do. We actually got through the topic.
Yes,
we watched all the videos.
Only because I had to keep you fuckers on topic.
Well, it was about guns.
Blame it on my
course,
ADHD and autism.
Of course, the one thing we're actually going to do is talk about guns.
Yes. Okay. So, with that said, let's go down the line and say our good nights. And we will start with our resident Serbian from the former Soviet state of Serbia, Molly. Say good night, Molly.
Laku noć.
And then we will go to our host from the state that does not exist, Ohio. Say good night, Luna.
Good night, Luna. Curtis not here to say it, so I gotta pick it up.
That's okay. And then we will finish off with our host from the Soviet state of Kanukistan, the dirty Frenchy Frenchman, Dale. Say good night, Dale.
Au revoir, tout le monde.
And with that said, I want to say good night to everyone, and I hope you had at least some sort of enjoyment with me going off at the New Mexico governor. At that, I hope everyone has a good night. Thank you, and goodbye.